Hey everyone, it's Jason here. I got our first story we're gonna read. This is from a collection of books, or collection of stories all brought together in one book. They're all Disney stories. Some of the most popular like Snow White, Hercules, Cinderella, Robin Hood, all of those. We're gonna start with the first one, which is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So sit back, relax, close your eyes, and visualize the story as I tell it. Sorry, I just need to take a sip of water. Here we go. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time, there lived a lovely little princess named Snow White who lived with her stepmother, a beautiful but vain queen. The queen didn't want anyone to be more beautiful than she was, and so she dressed Snow White in rags and made her cook, scrub, and fetch water from the well as though she were a servant. Each day the queen asked the spirit of the magic mirror, "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" And each day the magic mirror replied, "You are the fairest one of all, but you are the fairest one of all." But one day the mirror said, "But hold, a lovely maid I see, alas, she is more fair than thee." "Alas for her!" cried the angry queen. "Reveal her name." "Lips red as rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow." "Snow White!" gasped the queen. Meanwhile, Snow White was in the courtyard, scrubbing steps as she leaned over the well to get more water. She sang to the doves nearby. She told them that the well was a special wishing well. The snow then Snow White peered down the well and made a wish to find her true love. Suddenly she saw the reflection of a young man. She looked up and saw a handsome prince. "Oh!" she cried, and ran into the castle. The prince had heard the singing and discovered Snow White. He had been searching for the one girl he could love, and he had found her. "Did I frighten you?" called the young man. "Wait, please, don't run away." He began to sing to her. Snow White crept out on a little balcony to listen. With her heart beating very fast, her dream had come true. She kissed the dove, which flew down to give her kiss to the stranger. Snow White didn't know that the queen had been watching. When the queen saw the young man and heard his words of love for Snow White, she was enraged. She decided to get rid of Snow White once and for all. The queen called for the huntsman. "Take her far into the forest where she can pick wild flowers," she ordered. "Yes, your majesty," he replied, "and there you will kill her." "But but your majesty, the little princess," he protested. "No, to make doubly sure you do not fail, bring back her heart in this," stormed the cruel queen, handing him a small box. The frightened huntsman took Snow White into the forest, but when the terrible moment came, he could not bear to kill her. "Forgive me!" cried the huntsman, kneeling before the frightened girl. Run away, hide," he told the princess that the queen was mad with jealousy and wanted her dead. "Never come back," he added. The terrified Snow White ran deep into the forest. Huge trees seemed to stretch out to grab her. Glowing eyes glared at her from the dark undergrowth. At last she threw herself on the ground and sobbed bitterly. Eventually, Snow White's sobs dried away. She looked up to find herself surrounded by squirrels, rabbits, deers, birds, and other forest animals. But when she sat up, they scurried away. She began to sing to them, and they circled around her. Then she asked for their help. "Maybe you know where I can stay," she said to them. The birds twittered to show they did, and soon all the forest folk led her to a tiny house in a clearing. "It's just like a dollhouse," said Snow White. She peered around the inside. 7 little chairs. Must be 7 little children. 7 untidy little children, That Snow White thought that if she cleared the house for them, they might let her stay. Now, the little house belonged to the seven dwarfs who worked in a nearby diamond mine. Every morning they set off for the mine. They worked all day in the deep tunnels, hacking precious stones out of the earth with their pickaxes. The seven dwarfs worked hard, but they were a very happy bunch. Each evening, as the sun was setting, the seven dwarfs stopped work. They locked the new diamonds away and walked home. They loved to whistle and sing during their journey. Doc led the way, holding his lantern, followed by Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, and Dopey. Meanwhile, the birds and animals helped Snow White tidy the little house. They swept away the dust and cobwebs, scrubbed the dirty clothes, and washed the dishes. Snow White made a delicious pot of soup. At last, tired out, she went upstairs to the bedroom. There were seven little beds, each with a name: Doc, Happy, Sneezy, Dopey, Grumpy, Bashful, and Sleepy. What funny names for children, said Snow White. I'm a little sleepy myself. And she fell asleep lying on the little beds. As the seven dwarfs reached their house, they saw the windows all lit up. Mark my words, there's trouble a brewing, said Grumpy. They stuck their heads through the doors and then tiptoed inside. Look, said Doc, the floor. It's been swept. Our cobwebs are missing, said Bashful. My cup's been washed. Sink's empty. Something's cooking. Smells good. Don't touch it, you fools, shouted Grumpy. Doc looked up the stairs. It's up there, he said. The seven dwarfs were very nervous as they climbed up the stairs, holding on to one another in fear. They tiptoed into the room just as Snow White yawned and stretched her arms under the sheet. Doc snatched off the sheet, but no monster lay there. Why, it's a girl, cried Doc. Snow White woke up with a start. She realized there were no children. Oh, why, you're little men. How do you do? She began to name them: Doc, Bashful, Sleepy, Sneezy, Happy, Dopey, and Grumpy. We know who we are. Ask her who she is, said Grumpy. Who are you, my dear? Asked Doc. I'm Snow White, the seven dwarfs gasped. Snow White? The princess! Please, don't send me away, begged Snow White. She told them that the queen would kill her if she went home. I'll keep house for you. I'll wash and sew and sweep and cook. Cook? Asked the little men. When they found out she could make gooseberry pie, they cheered. Hooray! Shouted the seven dwarfs. She stays! Delightful, Snow White ran downstairs to stir up the soup. Soon she called, Supper! Meanwhile, the evil queen hurried to her magic mirror. Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of all? The mirror replied, Over the seven jeweled hills, beyond the seven falls, in the cottage of the seven dwarfs dwell, Snow White, fairest one of all. The queen told the spirit of the magic mirror that Snow White was dead. She held out the box as proof. Snow White still lives, the mirror replied. 'Tis the heart of a pig you hold in your hand. The queen rushed down to her dungeon. She would find Snow White herself. She mixed a bag of potions to change herself into an ugly old woman. Now begin thy magic spell, she cried, and drink it down. The queen's voice turned into a cackle. Her hair became white, her elegant hands shrank to claws, as her face became wrinkled and warty. Ha ha! She screeched. A perfect disguise. She hobbled over to her book of magic spells to choose a curse. Ah, a poison apple, sleeping death, she cackled. Ah, ha, 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 ha. But wait, there may be an antidote. Nothing must be overlooked. Ah, here it is, she cried. The victim of the sleeping death can only be revived by love's first kiss. Love's first kiss? Ha ha! No fear of that. The old crone dipped an apple into the poisoned brew. She pulled out the gleaming red fruit and tucked it into a basket. In the cottage, Snow White and the seven dwarfs were having a celebration. Happy sang a song while the other dwarfs played all sorts of instruments. Dopey stood on Sneezy's shoulders so he would be tall enough to dance with Snow White. All was going well until Sneezy felt his nose start to twitch. Ah, 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 choo! The next morning, the seven dwarfs left for work. Now, don't forget, my dear, the old queen's a sly one, they said, so beware of strangers. I'll be all right, said Snow White cheerfully, as she kissed Dopey and all the others on the head as they left. The wicked queen hurried through the forest and stopped when she reached the edge of the clearing. She could hear Snow White's lovely voice as she sang inside the cottage while she worked. Aha, the queen. The little man will be away and she'll be alone. The queen went up to the cottage window and saw Snow White working in the kitchen. Making pies, croaked the old woman. Like to try my apples? She held out the poisoned apple. Snow White was surprised and a little afraid. The birds realized the danger and flew at the old woman, trying to drive her away. Shoo, shoo, cried Snow White, rushing out of the house. What do you mean by attacking? What do you mean by attacking a poor old lady? She led the old woman inside and made her sit down. The birds and animals watched in horror. We must warn the dwarves in the mine, they chirped and chattered to one another. Off they went, flying and running as fast as they could. The witch held up the shiny red flute. I'll share a secret with you, she said. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? One bite and all your dreams will come true. Now make a wish and take a bite. Snow White took the apple, closed her eyes, wished that her prince would find her, and took a big bite. By this time, the animals had reached the mine. They pecked and pushed, and the seven dwarfs, but the little men couldn't understand what was wrong. At least Sleepy said, maybe the old queen's got Snow White. Oh, I feel strange, gasped Snow White. Back at the cottage, the wicked queen watched eagerly. Snow White took one deep breath, then fell to the floor. The poisoned apple rolled away. Ha ha ha, croaked the old woman. Her breath was still, her blood congealed. Now I'll be the fairest in the land. The seven dwarfs arrived at the clearing just as the hag disappeared into the forest. The seven dwarfs dashed down the queen, lightning flashed and rain poured. The queen began to climb a rocky mountain. There she goes! After her! Cried Grumpy. The queen scrambled higher and higher, at last reached the edge of the cliff and could go no further. I'll crush your bones, she shrieked, grabbing a dead branch. She tried to push a huge boulder down at the seven dwarfs. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning hit the edge. It broke off and fell down, down into the valley below, taking the queen to her death. The seven dwarfs returned to the cottage to find Snow White lying on the floor, seemingly dead. She looked so beautiful that they didn't have the heart to bury her. Instead, they built her a golden coffin, placed it in the woods. Each day they brought flowers, and the forest creatures visited her. In time, people heard of the beautiful maiden lying in the woods. The prince also heard about the maiden. He decided to take a look for himself. As soon as the prince reached the coffin in the clearing, he knew she was the lovely girl of the wishing well. Heartbroken, he bent over and kissed Snow White, then bowed his head in silence. Suddenly, Snow White's eyelids fluttered open. She yawned, sat up, and was amazed to find the prince. He joyfully gathered her in her arms. The seven dwarfs danced up and down, and all the little forest animals chirped and chattered with delight. Snow White kissed each of the seven dwarfs goodbye. The prince lifted her onto his white horse and led the way to his castle. There they were married, and of course lived happily ever after. The end. Thank you all for sticking around if you did. I hope you enjoyed the story. Sorry for any stutters or mistakes I made. Still my first time. I'm not the best at reading. I get pretty nervous. I know nobody's actually here, but I know people are going to listen to this. Please comment down below what story you guys would like to hear, or what type of story you'd like to hear. If you want a more long form book, I have Harry Potter, or if you want more children's stories, bedtime stories, or if you want a more mature book like Crime and Punishment, like I mentioned in my channel trailer. Other than that, like and subscribe. If you like this content, you like my voice, you like me, and you want to hear more. I'm gonna try to take myself not too serious with these videos and just post them. As you can hear, I tried to do a voice but gave up pretty quick. I even laughed at myself. It was kind of funny. But yeah, that's about it. Everybody have a lovely day, and I will see everybody hopefully tomorrow or sometime again this week. Make sure you drink your guys' water, make sure you're staying hydrated, and make sure you're eating. Other than that, have a good day. Goodbye.